This is the Live Well and Thrive podcast, hosted by Torchia, health and wellness expert. It's time to shape up, America.
Hi, this is Mike Torchia. I've got a great show today. You're going to be amazed. I have this biochemist, Rik Deitsch. He has created a formulation that's going to replace the need for narcotics, for pain relief. It's derived from the snake venom, cobra snake venom, and it's a peptide that's made, and it's just drops that are on your tongue, absorbed in the body rapidly, and it deals with pain relief. No longer do you need narcotics. So I want to introduce you to Rik Deitsch. Welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You know, I'm always looking for any kind of holistic ways, cutting-edge ways to help people with ailments such as arthritis, severe joint pain. And when I read the literature about what you've created, I was blown away that you're actually taking the venom from a snake, a cobra snake, and utilizing as a pain reliever and also to treat other ailments. And I'd like you to share a little bit about what you're doing with this venom and how you came up with this.
It's my pleasure. So it's not a new story that people use snake venom. In fact, people talk about snake oil all the time, and that goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. I mean, the ancient Greeks used snake venom for treatment of disease. In fact, the first published studies using cobra venom for treating pain go back to 1897. So to date, there's 47 published human clinical studies on using these levels of cobra venom for the treatment of pain and inflammation. And so the research we did is in the early 2000s, we bought 100 years worth of clinical data and put it into our own research to formulate the products we use now as OTC pain relievers. And it's exactly that. A 1/10,000th dilution of native cobra venom is incredibly good as a neurotoxin at dialing down the pain signal. And because the same receptor that's on the CNS that deals with pain is actually on certain white blood cells, so it dials down inflammation as well. So it's both analgesic and anti-inflammatory.
So it almost has like a dulling effect of the pain, so it's not as intense. Is that what you're saying? It lightens it up.
So it's a neuromodulator. So it basically attaches to the alpha-7 subtype in the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor, and it binds on and off, on and off, on and off, and it modulates that receptor. So big signals like pain become little tiny signals. And it's important to know it's not a numbing agent. It doesn't numb anything. And the fact is, it's a really interesting feeling if you're in really bad pain and you take the product, because you still have the pain. You still know that there's pain. It's just dialed down so much that a 10 becomes a 1 or a 2. And that's important because a lot of products are numbing agents and people forget about the pain and they re-injure themselves. And that's not a problem with this product.
Well, I also like the fact that you're still feeling the pain because, you know, like what if you're exerting yourself and to the point where you could be damaging a joint area or muscle. Yeah. And if you didn't feel the pain, you wouldn't know that you're going to an extreme level. So I'm on the same page as you. Plus, I don't like Advil and those other kind of medication, over-the-counter medication, because I just feel that it's shutting down the body's natural mechanism, the healing process. The inflammation is healing. And if you take it all the time, you're never allowing the body itself to regenerate and heal. Do you find that's true?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you don't have a headache because your body lacks aspirin, okay? You probably have a headache because you don't have electrolytes, you don't have water, you know, you're dehydrated. And so it doesn't really deal with the underlying problem. And that's the problem. And if you look at what these products do, these cobra venom pain relievers and anti-inflammatories versus even the over-the-counters. So you mentioned aspirin. So you look at NSAIDs. You have aspirin. You have Aleve, and which is naproxen. You have ibuprofen, which is Motrin, and Advil. Those are NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. And they're good for traumatic pain. You know, I just twisted my arm, but they do cause stomach upset. They do thin the blood, which can be dangerous, and they do damage the kidneys. And then you have acetaminophen, Tylenol. And that is processed in the liver, and that causes what they call disulfide linking in the liver. And that can be deadly. I mean, there's black box warnings on everything that contains acetaminophen. In fact, one of the leading causes of death among children and poisoning deaths is children's Tylenol, because they drink it like juice and it shuts down their liver. And so even these OTC products can be dangerous. And then you take a step further and look at the opiates. You know, they're addictive. They cause cognitive decline. They slow down organ function. Look at what they have now. They have opiate-induced constipation. What do you think causes that? I wonder, what could cause opiate-induced constipation? Well, clearly, it's the opiates. And so instead of telling people get off the opiates, they give them a new drug to treat the opiate-induced constipation. So we have seen that the Cobra Venom peptides can deal with all of that pain, even up to what we call stage 3 pain, which is intractable pain that requires medication.
So say if someone has been on Advil or Tylenol, all these others, is it best to, say, stop it cold turkey or wean off of it before you switch over to, say, this Venom formulation that you have?
No, absolutely not. In fact, I'm very clear. The mechanism of action of these drugs, these products, is so wildly different than everything else that it's actually synergistic. It can be taken with any other pain reliever. And so I tell people, if you're on a pain protocol, stay on that pain protocol. Start taking our products, and you're going to see relief over time. As you gain the benefit of the products, you can start weaning off of everything else. And to date, we've been working with the disabled American veterans. We've been working with a lot of wounded veterans. To date, we've now gotten over 1,000 veterans off of opiates using that protocol.
Wow. Well, God bless you, man. That's fantastic.
Thanks.
You know, I'm very much involved with the military. I'm currently doing a program. It's called the Fit Force Initiative with the Army. I'm basically going to 6 Army bases this next year over the next few months and doing these training seminars, but also includes dealing with pain, depression, a lot of emotional issues and so on. And most of the soldiers, because whether they were in battle or not, or just training, they've injured themselves and they end up getting addicted to narcotics. So part of it is to help with the rehab program to use holistic methods of providing pain relief. So I'd love to see about engaging you into getting involved in the protocols from pain management with the military, because I'm a senior strategic advisor now for H2F initiative, which is the Army's new initiative for health and fitness and mental wellness. And I think this could be a game changer, because most of the soldiers that are committing suicide, like at Fort Cavazos in Texas, they average 4 to 6 soldiers a month commit suicide. And most of them are because they're hooked on narcotics and they get severely depressed. And of course, being on a base is not an exciting place to be. It's very dull. It's like almost like being in a penitentiary. So psychologically, they start to deteriorate. But it all started because they had a pain from a significant injury. So I think if we could start incorporating things like this snake venom, it could be a powerful tool, a medicine that we can give that's not going to create any kind of addiction. Now, I want to make it clear. Can a person get addicted to it like a narcotic, or is it something that doesn't happen with it, where they go through a withdrawal if they stop it?
No, in fact, that's the thing. It's non-addictive, non-narcotic, non-interactive, non-opiate, doesn't cause cognitive decline. And here's the best part. Every pain medication on the planet, you grow resistant to. So as you use it over time, you need more and more to get the same benefit. Eventually, you hit something called the ceiling effect, where it stops working for you and you have to switch pain medication. Not so with these products. Because it's a neurotoxic molecule, neurotoxic peptide, when it binds to the receptor actually has to make a conformational change to accept the peptide. It's a phenomenon known as induced fit. Now, the benefit of that is that over time, the receptor starts getting used to that conformational change. And the result is you need less of the product over time to get the same benefit. So instead of growing resistant to it, you grow more sensitive to it and need less and less over time, which is phenomenal.
Wow. That's just, it's exciting to hear this. And I'm so happy that we've connected now. And I want to certainly make introductions to the military with your peptide formulation. Now, there are other benefits besides the pain relief, isn't there? Like, the detox. Could you share a little bit about the other benefits from the snake venom?
Well, it's actually, we have different products for detox and things like that. So specifically for the Cobra Venom products, that's pain and inflammation. That's important because most pain is caused by inflammation. So it's healing over time as a natural anti-inflammatory. So we've seen people that, got on the product, got off of all their other pain relievers, and then over time healed. And some other things we've seen, because it's a modulator, it actually increases nerve function in places that have decreased nerve function. So I'll give you a good example. One of our long-term investors in his late 60s started taking the product because he had back pain. And it was really helping his back pain. It was phenomenal. He was able to, play with his grandkids and have a really fulfilling life. And then he calls me one day, he's crying. He said, when I was 9 years old, I got hit in the face with a baseball. It shattered my orbital. I had all sorts of surgeries and everything, but I've not felt my right cheek since I was 9 years old. A couple of weeks in your product, I start feeling my cheek again. So I believe what's happening is he had overly innervated the nerves of the face, probably the transducent nerve or one of the cranial nerves, and he no longer could feel his cheek because of that over innervation. And over time, using our product, modulating that nerve signal, he started getting sensation back. He started feeling his cheek again. So that was a strange sort of side effect we didn't expect because we're dealing with pain and inflammation, but it's really about neuromodulation. It's about improving nerve function everywhere in your body.
So it has a healing effect of damaged nerves.
We believe
correct?
It does. I mean, a lot of snake venom actually does have nerve growth factors. We haven't measured that in particularly these products, but I think we're seeing that. And as we do more research over time, I'm going to look for nerve growth as well.
So for instance, remember Christopher Reeves, God bless his soul. Yeah. He was horse riding, jumped over the fence, or whatever it was, and he fell with the horse and he severed the nerves in his back. Could this have helped him if he was still alive today?
I don't know. It's actually kind of funny because the nerves of the central nervous system are very different than the nerves of the peripheral nervous system. And I don't know if you want to call this a 3-credit course in neurology, but around every nerve, you have an insulating sheath called a myelin sheath. It's a fatty sheath that acts as insulation, just like insulation around an electric wire, that allows the nerve to carry a charge. In the central nervous system, the myelin sheaths are created by a cell called an oligodendrocyte. Now, when the nerve dies, the oligodendrocyte also dies. And so it's very hard to rebuild those nerves in the central nervous system. In the peripheral nervous system, the myelin sheath is created by a Schwann cell. It's a different cell. And when a nerve dies in the periphery, the Schwann cell does not. So that nerve tunnel is still there, and nerves can regrow down that tunnel. So it's much easier to regrow peripheral nerves because of that phenomenon than central nerves. So we might have been able to help him. We don't know, but it's a lot of research that's being conducted today exactly on that.
I was fortunate enough to work with Christopher. He was doing a movie with Kim Cattrall and Joe Mantegna, and he played a detective that gets shot and is wheelchair bound. And Joe Mantegna reached out to me. He said, Mike, listen, I need you to help Christopher because he's been wheeling around all day long in the wheelchair, and he felt his arms and shoulders and muscles weren't strong enough, and he was cramping up. Yeah. So I actually went onto the set to train him. And, when I was talking to him, how important it is with the upper body strength and what muscles to strengthen so he doesn't get so fatigued while filming his scenes. Because some of the scenes he had to be actually acting while rolling around in the chair, going forward and backwards. And I just remember him saying, Michael, he says, I've had these long days, sometimes 10, 12 hours of filming. My God, I feel so terrible for people that are disabled, that can't walk. He said, because I get flustered just being in the set just for a day. My God, I feel so terrible. And I just reflected back. I was like, wow, later on, as we were communicating after he had the accident, and I tried to suggest everything I could, but, I said, Chris, this is not my space. This is something I can't physically help. You had this nerve damage, and I wish I knew you sooner, because I would have sent you over there. Who knows? But now I know. And a lot of people reach out to me for all kinds of situations. So I'll certainly keep in touch with you. But I really love the fact now, besides what you're doing with the Venom, share all the other products that you're using, this holistic approach to helping heal people and help people become healthier.
Yeah, so one of our key technologies is actually zeolites. So this is something I actually created. It's Cell Defender. It's zeolites are natural detoxifiers. They're minerals that come from volcanic ash, from basically lava. So when the lava hits seawater in a volcanic eruption, the heat, the pressure, it forms these minerals that have a cage-like structure. They're incredibly cool. And not only do they have a cage-like structure, they have a negative charge. It's one of the few negatively charged minerals found in nature. Because of the cage-like structure and the negative charge, zeolites have the ability to draw to themselves and trap within themselves a variety of different positively charged compounds. Now, there's a lot of different zeolites. There's 49 different naturally occurring zeolites. We use a zeolite called clinoptilolite. And the cool thing about clinoptilolite is because of the cage-like structure, the size of the pores and the aggregate charges, it loves small, highly charged metals, and it doesn't like larger, lower charged metals. And it just so happens, this is just nature, all the stuff that's bad for us is small and highly charged. So it sucks up mercury and lead and cadmium and arsenic and tin and bismuth, aluminum, antimony. It loves that stuff. And it doesn't like magnesium and calcium and phosphorus and sodium and potassium. So we've been incredibly successful at using it for heavy metal detox. Now, even before I got a hold of it, clinoptilolite zeolite's been used for over 100 years in agriculture, in water filtration, in animal feed, for exactly this, for detoxing, for preventing aflatoxicosis in feed animals. So I looked at this molecule in the late 90s, and I said, this is fascinating. This could be great, but there's two big issues with using it in humans. The first one was that the powder that you're getting, that they use in all these different indications, is just too big. The particle size is too big. You're not going to get it from the digestive tract into the bloodstream. So I had to work on a process that could crush the zeolite over and over again to make smaller zeolite cages. So we call that process micronization. And the process I created uses high pressure and centrifugation. And I wind up with particle sizes that are always under 1 micron and as small as 347 nanometers. What that means is that when you ingest it, it gets in. It gets into the body, gets all over, and systemically detoxifies.
So is it a liquid form, or you keep it in a powder form?
So because it's so small, the powder would go everywhere. It would be like talc. You'd lose it. So That's the reason we put it in a colloidal suspension. We suspend it in ultra pure water because it's such a super fine powder. You'd lose it if it was in a powder form.
So would it be sublingual? Under the tongue?
Actually, it doesn't matter. You put it in your mouth, you swallow it. Some does get absorbed in the mouth, but it can get absorbed in your digestive tract. It's such a small molecule, it's easily absorbed 100%. And we've actually done exhaustive radiolabeled studies with Bodipian technetium that show it's absorbed, it gets all over the body.
Now, have you done a test where someone had high levels of toxicity, and then after a period of time, what level it went down to after using your product?
Yeah. So, well, let me just talk a little bit more about the processing, because there's another step to the processing. So besides micronization, we actually do something called activation, because the zeolite in nature, when you get it from the mine site, it's actually full of mercury and lead and cadmium and arsenic and volatile organic compounds. That's because zeolites are nature's filters. They're sucking this up out of the environment. So the zeolite in the mine site, if water flows through, if it rains, if air blows over it, it's pulling in those toxins. And we've actually measured toxins coming out of the zeolite during production. And one of the things that came out in our gas chromatography, we couldn't identify. So we sent out for third-party testing, and it came back as diesel fuel exhaust. So the actual mining equipment that's mining the zeolite is creating toxins that are being sucked up by the zeolite. So we have a process we call activation, and uses heat and natural acids to force the cationic exchange of all the heavy metals. So we clean it out, we scrub it out. So we wind up with a super clean, super active zeolite for the final product. So you talked about measuring that activity. We've done 15 clinical studies. My favorite one was in West Virginia coal miners. I said, where can I find the most toxic population? that I know we're going to have a benefit. So we went to West Virginia and we did a double-blind placebo-controlled study over 3 months. And we saw with these patients, we measured urine and we measured hair. And for the purpose of this study, we didn't want to use the hair on their head because that was exposed to the environment. So we had them shave their chest. And we measured heavy metals in the chest hair before the study and the end of the 3-month study. At the end of the 3-month study, there was like no metals in their chest hair, which was amazing. It just shows the zeolites pulling it all out through the urine. In the urinary test, we saw a 15-fold increase in heavy metal excretion among the people using the product. We also did a paper pencil test. We said, how do you feel? Every single one of the patients on the product said they had more energy during the day. They were sleeping better at night. They had improved mental acuity, cognitive function. Most of them said it was like a fog lifted off their brain. And they had improved visual acuity, especially night vision and glare recovery. So we think that's because improved liver function improves glutathione production, and that improves eyesight. So we saw all these great benefits. The last thing I'll say about the West Virginia coal miner study is we asked them that when they took the product, we told them take it any way you want to take it, but be consistent in the way you take it and let us know how you did it. So most of the patients simply squirt it in their mouth, and that's fine. But some people put it in their food, in their drink. One guy put it in his mashed potatoes every night. He was a meat and potatoes guy. One guy added to a glass of scotch every night. And it didn't matter how they took it. Everybody that took it got the same benefit. So really get the stuff in your body and it's going to work.
Now, what period of time did they use it for? Was it 3 months, 6 months, a year?
So this study was a 3-month study, but we did urine analysis at 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, then at 7 day, then weekly thereafter for 3 months. And we saw steady increases in heavy metal excretion throughout the whole study.
Wow. Now, I work frequently with the Pilots Association, and what I've discovered, the pilots that fly internationally, even though they have the glass where the sun rays won't burn you, it doesn't filter out the radioactive light that comes from flying at high levels, closer to the sky, higher in the sky. You're now exposed to all these radioactive sort of toxic rays, because it's just this thick glass that blocks any kind of burning effect, but it's penetrating into your body, so then you have a high telomere level. Now, would your called self-defense?
Cell defender, yes.
A cell defender. Would that help lower the telomere level for these pilots that are flying frequently internationally? They're getting exposed to all this radiation.
Now we haven't measured that, but what you're talking about is cosmic radiation. It sounds like from a comic book, cosmic rays, but that is actually the most powerful electromagnetic radiation. And I could tell people if they want to know about the electromagnetic scale for electromagnetic radiation, I have a saying that I created in college. It's Cary Grant expects unanimous votes in movie reviews tonight. Cary Grant expects unanimous votes in movie reviews tonight. So cosmic rays is the first thing, then gamma, Cary Grant, X-rays, ultraviolet, visible, infrared, microwave, radio, television. That gives you the entire scale. So the cosmic rays are the most energetic and the shortest, highest frequency and shortest wavelength. And yes, most of those cosmic rays get kind of filtered by the atmosphere as you get higher and higher and higher. And even astronauts in space wind up with cosmic radiation, cosmic waves. Cosmic rays can cause all sorts of damage, especially epigenetic damage, as you mentioned, telomeres and things like that. So we don't know if the zeolite's going to really help with that. We do know that several metabolic functions are upregulated in the presence of the zeolite. The most important is zinc finger protein metabolism. And this is like a whole biochemistry lecture in and of itself. So zinc finger proteins are a family of proteins in our body. There's 23 different zinc finger proteins. And they're called zinc finger proteins because there's a zinc in the center of the protein that holds the structure of the protein. Zinc finger proteins are necessary for cell division. Anytime you're going to divide a cell, zinc finger proteins come in and help copy the DNA. This is important if you have a cut, a scrape, or a broken bone, but it's vital when you have an infection. If you have a bacterial infection, a viral infection, you need to make more white blood cells. You need more zinc finger proteins. This is one of the reasons you might suck on a zinc lozenge or take a zinc supplement. More zinc finger proteins, more white blood cells. All right. So the problem is that zinc can be displaced, usually by arsenic. Arsenic gets into the zinc finger protein. It competes with zinc. Arsenic is smaller than zinc, so it changes the shape of the protein and it downregulates zinc finger protein metabolism. This is why if you have even low-level arsenic toxicity, what happens? Your immune system shuts down. You can't make red blood cells. You get exhausted because you have no oxygen delivery. Your hair can fall out. Your skin gets thinner. It's all about zinc finger protein metabolism. So we found that people using the Cell Defender had a spike in zinc finger protein metabolism. So they had better hair, skin, nails, bone density. They just healed better. They felt better. Their immune system worked better. And it's really not, I had a guy who said, I got a cut on my hand. I started using your product. My cut healed overnight. Your product heals cuts. I'm like, no, your body heals cuts. But all these toxins get in the way of natural metabolic processes. As you get rid of these toxins, everything just works better.
Yeah, I share with a lot of my clients how, like you just said, the body is an amazing regenerative machine. And if you allow your body to be healthy, it could deal with all kinds of illnesses on its own, especially like during COVID. I felt that it's the worst thing to do is tell people not to be active, not to exercise, not to walk, lift, and do these movements because you're now deteriorating the body's ability to fight off diseases and germs and so on. And if the body's functioning optimally, and like you said with the self-defender, it's eliminating those toxins that's inhibiting your body to regenerate. The human body can regenerate itself. You don't need all these other drugs and all these other things. So, my God, I'm so blessed to know that you're here with this product because I have so many viewers that are in pain and discomfort and toxic because not just from exposure to what's in the environment, but they're around toxic people that cause all this emotional toxicity, and that itself, that stress is on the body and secreting a large amount of cortisol, causing people to be depressed. Now, could this possibly help people that have severe depression to help combat that excessive amount of cortisol secretion?
We've had a lot of people. I say this. I try not to talk about the specific claims because all these people come back and we have thousands of testimonies. I've been selling this product since 2005. We sold over 8 million bottles since 2005. So we've got lots and lots of people that have used this. We have thousands and thousands of positive testimonials. And I try not to get into the minutia of does it do this, does it do that? Because the underlying mechanism is a cleaner, healthier body fixes itself. So people feel better, they're healthier, they have better mood, it's mood elevation. Everything starts working better. And then we do have some other products for specific issues. Like we have a product called Plus Balance, and it helps with liver function and it balances hormones in the body. It also has a vegan form of collagen, which is amazing because everyone's trying to find the right collagen for them. And in that case, we have clinical evidence that supports better hair, skin, nails, healthier liver, more libido, healthier libido, all with the Plus Balance. And so in that case, if someone definitely need mood elevation, I would tell them to use the Cell Defender and the Plus Balance.
Now, where can my audience find your products? Can you mention the website where they can go?
Yeah, so all those products are sold exclusively through Avini Health. So it's AVINI Health, AviniHealth.com. I do articles on the products, and at the bottom you can see product articles, and you'll see basically these 1,000-word articles on pretty much every one of these products. It gives them a kind of snapshot into the research that was conducted. So there's a lot of good stuff if people want to take a deep dive.
Great. No, I appreciate it. And thank you for coming on today. This has really been a really enlightening experience to learn all about what you've done with the snake venom and other products to help people become healthier and let their own bodies heal themselves. So thank you.
Thank you. It was an
I want to
absolute
wrap
pleasure.
up. Oh, my pleasure. I'd like to wrap this up with saying here you have right now the gentleman, the biochemist, has created a product that is more advanced from the old days of snake oil to really incredible formulation, peptide formulation that can help you avoid getting hooked on all these narcotics and get you off of those drugs and healthier and feel better and deal with your pain. So this is like a blessing. So please share this episode with your family and friends and let them know there's now hope to be able to fight this epidemic of narcotics that are killing our children, just killing people in general. So please forward this episode. It's important. It could save lives. Thank you for watching. Remember, share this episode. We really need you to share this and also subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Thanks for watching.